year is 2000. At the beginning of the year, everyone thought that the world was going to end due to the Y2K bug. Mission Impossible 2 was the highest grossing movie of the year, grossing over $500 million worldwide. One of the greatest gaming systems of all time, the PS2, was released. Just 2 months later, in July, Nelly released his debut album, Country Grammar. Before getting into the album though, if you already haven't done it yet, go follow my Instagram. That would be greatly appreciated. You guys can always reach out and show me some love. It's all good. Make sure to comment on what it was like for you in 2000 when this album came out and what your reaction was when you first heard it. How has it impacted you? Also, rap-wise, in the year 2000 came the release of albums like the Marshall Mathers LP by Eminem, The Dynasty Rock La Familia by Jay-Z, Stankonia by Outkast, The Last Meal by Snoop Dogg, Rule 336 by Ja Rule, and Let's Get Ready by Mystical. 2000 was definitely Eminem's year, but little did the world know that someone else from the Midwest was set to blow up huge. This would be Nelly, who grew up and he represented St. Louis, Missouri. By 2000, Nelly and his crew, the St. Lunatics, were buzzing in their hometown. The group formed in the early 90s, and by 1997, the group had a local hit called Gimme What You Got.
My click is off and look like OJ. Fool it ain't no way that we get every beat and folk play. Running at your lady, smoking hey, hey, hey.
So, as you can hear, Nelly had a completely different style back then. I've seen people compare him to sounding very similar to Big Boy from Outkast. Now, there's some controversy behind this song. At the time, Nelly was not the de facto frontman of the group. If you ask him, it was Ali, due to Ali being on the intro, first verse, hook, and second verse of their local hit, Gimme What You Got. In the song Gimme What You Got, Ali shouts out D2 Entertainment. This is a local St. Louis studio and label owned by two twin brothers, David and Darren. According to Nelly, they stepped into the picture after the St. Lunatics performed at a showcase that Jive Records hosted. With Jive Records showing interest, D2 Entertainment stepped in and offered the St. Lunatics free studio time along with the group joining the label. After Nelly did his verse for Gimme What You Got, he received a call from Ali saying that D2 wanted to kick him off of the song. Nelly went on to find out that everyone in the group besides him signed to D2 without them all coming to an agreement. Nelly very much did not like this because he smelled something fishy and he wanted to read over the contract before signing it. But being the odd man out, Nelly eventually signed the contract. In 1998, D2 Entertainment released the St. Lunatics EP with songs like Gimme What You Got and Who's the Boss.
I rock party, smoke more lottie than Dottie in the center like jihadi. Salty conversations about me and some of my relations.
The music of the St. Lunatics were being shopped to various record labels at the time, but they had no takers. It was very hard to get a label to sign a group with the amount of members that they had. Kuda Love is one of the people who helped with shopping their demo. If his name sounds familiar, it's because Mace shouted him out on the song Mo Money, Mo Problems.
Me down, Kuda, school me to the game, now I know my duty. Stay humble, stay low, blow like Hootie.
Kuda Love used to manage Mace and he was a tour manager for Biggie Smalls. He went on to manage Nelly as well, but he was the one who suggested that instead of the group signing a deal, it should be Nelly to try to kick in the door for them. Nelly was strongly against this since they were a group, but this turned out to be a very smart move. Songs like Gimme What You Got and Who's the Boss were on the demos that were given out to labels while the St. Lunatics were trying to get signed. Songs that Nelly was not the lead on. Kuda Love suggested that Nelly should make some records where he was the frontman. This is when songs like Batter Up, Country Grammar, EI, and Ride With Me were made. These 4 songs were on Nelly's demo tape. And it turns out that these 4 songs went on to become the 4 singles of his eventual debut album. Imagine having 4 classic hits on your demo that you're shopping out to labels and they still turn you down. This is exactly what happened to Nelly. He went to pretty much every label that you can think of and they turned him down. It wasn't until Nelly received a phone call from Universal Records that his fortunes would change forever. They scooped him up and they signed him to a deal. Part of this deal included that if he sold over 250,000 copies of his debut album, Universal Records would give the St. Lunatics a contract as a group, with them having options for solo deals. The recording process for the Country Grammar album took about 3 weeks. The budget for the album was not the biggest, and Nelly was only given $150,000 to shoot the music video for the song Country Grammar, which was originally titled Hot-ish. When speaking about the song, Nelly said that Universal wanted EI to be the lead single of the album, which he was strongly against. He wanted Country Grammar instead due to its significance to St. Louis, with the track already having buzz there before its official release. Nelly had to kick and scream to get his way, which turned out to be the correct decision. Country Grammar was officially released as a single in February of 2000. Though it was released in February, the track would not catch on until 2 months later in April, when it finally charted on the Billboard Hot 100. It stayed on the charts for months and didn't peak until 5 months later in September, when the track hit number 7 on the Billboard Hot 100.
I'm going down, down, baby. No street and a Range Rover. Boom, boom, baby. Ready to let it go.
Country Grammar was the only single to release before the album came out. Just like the single, the album Country Grammar took a minute to catch on. The album was released in June of 2000. It debuted at number 3 on the Billboard 200, selling 235,000 copies in its first week. When an artist drops an album after the first week, the sales and their chart position typically decline. This was not the case for Nelly. It debuted at number 3, but as the weeks went on, he continued to climb the chart. This resulted in Country Grammar eventually topping the Billboard 200 for 5 weeks. By the end of 2000, the album Country Grammar sold over 5 million copies. By 2016, the album went diamond, meaning that it had sold over 10 million records. Upon doing this, Nelly entered a very exclusive club of rappers to have diamond albums. But you also cannot forget to mention that Nelly had a top 10 selling album in his rookie year. He was going against some absolute heavyweights. NSYNC went diamond by the end of the year with their album No Strings Attached. Eminem released the Marshall Mathers LP, which went 7 times platinum by the end of the year. Britney Spears dropped Oops, I Did It Again, which went 8 times platinum by the end of the year. Santana dropped Supernatural in 1999, but by the end of 2000, that album went 8 times platinum as well. So Nelly was in the ring with some dogs and sold 5 million records out of nowhere. Nelly, along with Eminem, proved that rap could compete with pop records, and they set the standard for the 2000s, with rap selling as much as pop. Just 2 years later, in 2002, both of them had the highest selling albums of that year. Eminem was number 1 with The Eminem Show, and Nelly was number 2 with Nellyville. Then 2003 came around, and you guys pretty much already know the rest with that, but yeah. Nelly coming out of the gate to do what he did was completely out of left field. Universal had no clue that he was going to be as successful as he was. Normally, for a rapper to get on, you need a co-sign from a prominent rapper or producer. For example, Eminem and 50 Cent had Dr. Dre backing them. Nas had legendary producers like Q-Tip, Pete Rock, Large Professor, and DJ Premier backing him. Bone Thugs and Harmony had Eazy-E. You get the point. Nelly had none of this, and he was coming from a city like St. Louis in the Midwest. Before Nelly, St. Louis did not have any representation in the mainstream rap scene. So for Nelly to do what he did out of the gate is very impressive. The title of the album Country Grammar came about through Nelly's travel to New York when he was trying to get a record deal. While he was up north, he was hanging with members of Mace's rap group Harlem World. When he was hanging out with them, he would talk and they could not understand him due to his slang, and they thought that he was country. This is how he came up with the name Country Grammar. As for the cover art of the album, it's Nelly in front of the St. Louis Arch. This is of course in St. Louis, Missouri. The arch is a symbol for being the gateway to the Midwest. From the jump, Nelly was letting everyone know where he was from. The album starts with the intro. It features comedian Cedric the Entertainer, who is from St. Louis, Missouri. Cedric appeared on the album through Nelly knowing his manager, who was related to his own road manager at the time. Cedric had always supported Nelly during their come up, with both of them coming from St. Louis. Nelly wanted Cedric to appear on the album, and Cedric was paid around $10,000 for his work, even though he would have done it for free. Nelly initially offered to give Cedric a few points on the album instead of upfront money, which Cedric declined. A point on an album basically is a percentage of the royalties earned from the sales. Think of 1 point as being 1% of this. Nelly laughed recalling the story due to the success that Country Grammar went on to have. Someone can correct me in the comments, but I'm pretty sure that back then, around this time, I think a CD was around like $15 to $20. Country Grammar went on to go diamond, selling over 10 million copies, so you can just imagine what 1 point was worth. Nelly initially offered Cedric a few points, which would have been way more than the $10,000 that he received. But Cedric is hilarious on this album, with Cedric trying to contact Nelly on the intro. This then fades into the track St. Louis. This song is about where Nelly grew up, which is St. Louis, Missouri. There's nothing I could really find about this track history-wise, just like the following song, Greed, Hate, Envy. But this doesn't apply to the 4th track on the album, Country Grammar. It can't be stated enough how much this song really popped off Nelly's career, and he had St. Louis on fire. This beat, along with most of the album, was produced by J.E. He met the St. Lunatics at a studio in a skating rink in the mid-90s. This relationship is how he ended up producing a bulk of Nelly's first 2 albums. By the time that Nelly first heard the beat for Country Grammar, J.E. had been trying to sell that beat for a while. He was selling it for as low as $100, trying to get anyone to buy it, but he had no takers for a while. Little did Nelly know that by the time that he heard it, J.E. had finally sold it. But Jay told Nelly that he was unsure if the person that he sold it to would end up using it. Country Grammar was originally supposed to be a group song with the St. Lunatics, but the members of the group did not like the beat. This did not matter to Nelly because he loved the beat and he believed in the song. A funny thing about Country Grammar is that Nelly thought that the clean version of the song would taint his career. He never heard the clean version until he heard it on the radio. He did not like the edits that they put with the sound effects and noises. According to J.E., the song was originally going to feature a kid singing the hook, since the hook is inspired by the nursery rhyme Down Down Baby. This plan was scrapped in favor of Nelly doing the hook himself. I remember a couple years ago, I was listening to the song and I did not realize that Nelly was rapping about some gangster stuff on the song. He was talking about doing drive-bys in the opening line of the hook. Crazy. I guess that it's just not what you say, it's how you say it. But there is some controversy, not just with this song, but with the entire album. Within the past few years, there's been drama mainly between Nelly and Ali of the St. Lunatics. In September of 2024, Nelly faced a reported $50 million lawsuit from the St. Lunatics over the credits for Country Grammar. They claimed that they never received proper credit or royalties from the album. In a documentary about the album, way before this lawsuit, Nelly admitted that Ali and City Spud helped him with writing the song. These are words out of his own mouth, no speculation. Regardless of what you think is the case, just 2 months after it was filed, every member of the St. Lunatics, besides Ali, pulled out of the case, stating that they never authorized being involved. Ali and Nelly have feuded for a while over these issues, with Ali claiming that he wrote the majority of Country Grammar aside from 2 songs. Their situation is tied to the album, but isn't something I want to completely go in depth with on this video. If you want to know more, I highly suggest that you go check out Nelly, Ali, and even Murphy Lee's videos about the situation. Still the Show is next, and it features the St. Lunatics. The interlude of the album comes immediately after this. Cedric is still trying to contact Nelly, but to no avail. This interlude then fades into the 3rd single of the album, Ride With Me. This song peaked at number 3 on the Billboard Hot 100. It went gold in 2006. This song came about when J.E. made a beat tape for Nelly. E.I., which went on to become the 2nd single of the album, was on this tape. The beat for Ride With Me was the next track, and he tried to write the song in other places, but it just seemed like for this particular song, all the ideas came to him while he was in the car. This led to the inspiration and name of the song. But speaking of E.I., this is the next song on the album. It was the 2nd single to be released from it. E.I. peaked at number 15 on the Billboard Hot 100. Once again, J.E. produced this track, and it's very different from other tracks on the album due to this track being made in New York. Majority of the Country Grammar album was done in St. Louis, Missouri before Nelly got signed, so this is one of the few tracks that was made elsewhere. It's been almost 25 years since this album was released, and some people don't know exactly what E.I. means. According to Nelly, it comes from his time playing softball as a kid. If someone did something good, the team would holler out E.I., which meant take that or eat it. This then followed up with everyone saying, Nelly remembered this and he put it in the song. But E.I. contains an infamous lyric with Nelly rapping that he's a sucker for cornrows and manicured toes. This has become a meme due to manicured toes not being a thing. A manicure is for your fingernails, so pedicured toes is the correct lyric due to a pedicure having to deal with your feet. Many people are also probably aware of the remix of this song, which is called Tip Drill, which landed Nelly in some very hot water. That whole thing is a story for another day, man. That story is crazy. Murphy Lee and Ali of the St. Lunatics feature on the following song, Thicky Thick Girl. A lot of people praised Murphy Lee's verse on the song, and he did indeed go off. This song then fades into For My, which features Lil Wayne.
In my side pocket, while yours cocking, nigga, mind popping. Walk through your house with the eye knocking.
This feature is significant because it's one of 2 features on this album from someone outside of the St. Lunatics. Lil Wayne was not initially supposed to be the feature. Nelly and the St. Lunatics wanted Juvenile instead because he was way hotter than Lil Wayne musically at that time. By the summer of 2000, Wayne only had 1 solo album out, which was his debut album, The Block Is Hot. While that album did go platinum, he was nowhere near the star that he went on to be years later. By 2000, Juvenile's breakout album, 400 Degrees, which was released in 1998, had sold over 4 million copies. Then he dropped the G-Code and that went platinum. So Juvenile sold over 5 million copies in a 3-year span. So at this time, it's definitely understandable why Nelly wanted Juvenile over Lil Wayne. The only problem was that Nelly could not afford to have Juvenile on his album. Due to how popular Juvenile was, his feature price would have killed the budget. In 2008, Lil Wayne spoke about how he got to be featured on the song.
That's right, my big brother Nelly with Nellyville, Country Grammar, all that. I am I am the only artist that was featured on his first album. And you know how much I charged to get on that album? Nothing. Nada. Why? Because I heard the song and heard the rest of his music and was like, it wasn't even a question. I'm getting on here. It was a question for me, can I get on there? So I was happy to be a part of that. And you know, of course, the album sold like 9 to 10 million records. You know, when nobody else ain't won't get on there, it's cool. My publishing and stuff was intact, thanks.
The songs Other Side and Throw Them Raps follow this. Not much history behind these songs, but Throw Them Raps, in my opinion, is one of the hardest songs on the album. Rap Something is next, and it features the St. Lunatics. Once again, there's not much that I could really find out about this track, but I could for the following track, Batter Up, which features the St. Lunatics. This was the fourth and last single to be released from the album.
And just as long as we live it, it's Lunatics prayer. It ain't nothing wrong with that.
This was the first song to be recorded for Country Grammar. Unlike the first 3 singles, this song did not chart on the Billboard Hot 100 at all, but it remains a classic and a very memorable song. The last 2 tracks of this album were produced by City Spud. By the time the album Country Grammar was released, he was serving 10 years in prison for first-degree assault with a firearm and attempted robbery. This is why the St. Lunatics named their debut album Free City in 2001. City Spud would not be released from prison until 2008. In total, City Spud produced 4 tracks on the album: Greed, Hate, Envy, Thicky Thick Girl, Never Let 'Em See You Sweat, and Lovin' Me. Never Let 'Em See You Sweat and Lovin' Me are the last 2 songs on the album. Never Let 'Em See You Sweat features the Teamsters, who happen to be the only other feature, aside from Lil Wayne, on this album that's not in the St. Lunatics. This feature makes sense because, as I explained earlier, Nelly was associated with Kuda Love. This is the man who helped shop Nelly's music to record labels. When I was doing research for this video, the only other feature I could find from the Teamsters were when they appeared on the song Meaning of Life for Harlem World's debut album in 1999. Of course, Harlem World being Mace's rap group, the Teamsters also repped Harlem just like Harlem World. So this makes complete sense how they featured on Country Grammar due to Nelly's relationship with Kuda Love and Nelly's affiliation with Harlem World. The last song on the standard album is Lovin' Me. This is, without a doubt, one of, if not the most popular songs on the album aside from the singles. It's a really deep song, with the first verse being dedicated to Nelly's mother. She never stopped loving him despite all the wrong that he had done in his life to that point. The second verse is dedicated to Nelly's girlfriend. Whenever he's stressed or upset, she holds him down. In the third and last verse, Nelly shouts out a bunch of people who helped him get to where he was at: friends, family, and St. Louis. The standard album concludes with Cedric the Entertainer closing out the album. The deluxe version of Country Grammar contains 2 additional tracks. The first is the song Icy, which features the St. Lunatics. It appears on the soundtrack for the 2000 movie Bait. The last song is Come Over. And just like that, the album ends. What a journey it's been. Really crazy that Nelly came out of nowhere and became one of the biggest rappers in the game. He came from the Midwest with no big cosign from a rapper or producer. He made it happen and got a whole city lit. All in all, let me know down in the comments what album you would like to see me cover next. I love you guys with all my heart. Peace.